Joy, living with eyes wide open. I'm going to get in a minute to a word here that the Lord gave me because that's really bottom line. This was not something that I had on my radar at all, but sometimes when Jehovah Sneaky drops a word on you, you kind of have to pay attention. So just to clarify, we are still in this 12th month. It is about moving from chaos into order. This is, I believe, just so critical for us because going forward, we are going to be about this kind of thing forever. And it is, 12 in Scripture is about bringing things into that order, going from the 11 brothers to the 12 of the 12 tribes, from the 11 disciples, once one had abandoned them, to back again to 12. So it's about bringing the chaos into his order, not just any order. And it's, whoa, what was that? Strange on my line. And bringing it under divine government. And, okay, first and foremost in our lives. Well, when the Lord started speaking about this, eyes wide open, you probably know a couple of passages. Let's look at these because I think there's some principles here. You know, when Elisha was out and he was prophesying where the enemy would be, and it kept ticking him off, going like, somebody is got loose lips, and they're going, no, it's the prophet. He hears what you say in this privacy of your bedroom. So overnight they find out where he is. They send troops. And when the servant of the man of God got up and went out early the next morning, an army with horses and chariots had surrounded the city. Oh, no, my Lord, what shall we do? The servant asked. I love Elisha. Don't be afraid, the prophet answered. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elisha prayed, open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see. Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full, say full, of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Can you imagine being that servant? Sorry, you got to visualize. The guy was scared to death, right? Rightly so, because of the force that was around there. And then suddenly, where did those come from, right? It's amazing. So that's one principle that we have to pray, open my eyes, Lord. Say, open my eyes, Lord. Open my eyes, Lord. Okay, I think we got to do that. Number 2, eyes wide open, is this story of Jesus in Mark 8. So Jesus took the blind man by the hand, led him out of town, and when he had spit on his eyes and put his hands on him, he asked him if he saw anything. He looked up and said, I see men like trees walking. Then Jesus, put his hands on his eyes again and made him look up, and he was restored and saw everyone clearly. Yeah. So, critical part of that is, folks, it's a process. How many of you think you see and discern more now than you used to? Seriously? Okay. How many think you still got a ways to go? Okay, good. So, this was, when was it? I guess it was yesterday morning. I was with the Lord, and I try to ask what's on his mind and heart. And when I hear him start to speak, I'm at my computer. I just write down what I hear. And this is what I heard. Show my people the core of joy, that it is a decision long before it is a feeling. Rejoicing in me is the action that leads to the emotion. The choice to be grateful, to engage truth, that all good things are from me, and that all will be resolved in me. It is a mindset that becomes a heart set. It is a perspective that becomes a permanent framework to see all things before you, a filter that does not ignore the hard things, but understands how they work for good. My people do not understand what I have given them, and they are not allowing it to bubble up as a powerful force that can and will sustain them in the crazy. Joy is a fruit that grows as you choose to rejoice. To live in joy is to live with your eyes wide open, to see the whole board as it resolves in me. Joy is never about closing your eyes in delusion or denial. Joy has night vision. Joy sees true colors of everything. Joy is a quiet confidence that slows you down to enjoy the gift of the moment rather than sprinting by in search of something else. Joy is a ladder that allows you to see from a higher perspective. It is a set of wings that make you lighter and take you places your feet cannot attain. Joy is the result of how you abide fully in me, so that my joy is in you, and your joy is therefore complete. It is a gift to be received, deployed, exercised, and multiplied. It is a gift that keeps on giving. Do not presume what it looks like. It is not enthusiasm. It is not optimism. It is not always smiling. It is deeper and richer and more satisfying than you would know. It is not contingent. It is a state of rest in the totality of who I am, where we are going, and how it will all come together. Open your eyes to see everything. The whole world is filled with my glory, and joy has eyes to see it. A lot there, huh? Okay, so, whoa, you guys took too long to read all that. So all I want to do is kind of walk down on this and take what I heard and just connect the dots maybe. It is a decision long before it's a feeling. Deuteronomy 30, I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Now choose life. I've set before you sadness and joy. Choose joy. Yeah. Rejoicing in him is the action that leads to the emotion. I'm just taking what I heard him say and making it into different phrases. So it's an action, it's a choice, and then it's a decision to do it. And rejoicing doesn't mean you try to be happy. It just means that you enter into a level of thanking him. It is the choice to be grateful. One of the problems about Israel in the wilderness is that they grumbled against the Lord. He specifically identifies that as one of the reasons they're not going to cross. And folks, there is plenty to grumble about. Although I have to say they're all what we would call first world problems. Right? Not about that you can't eat, you don't have a place to sleep. It's nothing like that. But there is this ongoing choice to be grateful. The choice to engage the truth that all good things are from him and all will be resolved in him. You know that he is the giver of every good and perfect gift, right? But we got to get clear on just what all is, okay? And that the things that aren't all get resolved in him, right? It comes into him. This part, it is a mindset that becomes a heart set. First, it is a discipline, right? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, folks. You have control of most of those thoughts. We're supposed to take captive, right, every thought and make it obedient. Whatever those random thoughts are, okay, you got to be willing just to capture it. Just go after it. It's a discipline. It's a perspective that becomes a permanent framework to see all things. This was an interesting phrase as you put that. In other words, that perspective starts to become almost like a frame that gives you the boundaries on everything that you see and how you see it. Did I just give you too much? Was all of that just kind of, okay. It does not ignore the hard things, but it understands how they work. Okay? I had a call from somebody, one of our allies, and man, I don't understand why all this is happening. I'm getting my time on the devotion and this and that and all this thing. And I go, whoa, wait a minute. That's great you're doing all those things. That is no way a guarantee that other stuff isn't going to happen. Can you imagine the state you'd be in if you hadn't been doing that? I had a discussion earlier. One of the biggest problems is we make an idol of our understanding. And we determine often how well we're going to praise or love God or whatever based on whether or not we get what he's doing. And God's just like, sorry, that's not my problem. That's yours. The core of joy, keeping going, it must be allowed to bubble up as a powerful force. Do you get that joy is in you is actually a force that you can keep down or allow to rise up? You have to get this. Hello? And it can and will sustain us in the crazy. This was a critical line. Things are going to continue to look so chaotic and crazy, and things are going to change. Every time I turn on the news, it's like, what? How many are you having that? It's just like, I can't, really? Really? But it gives me a perspective to just back up and go, okay, God, what do you got? How's this going to go? I don't. It's a fruit that grows as we choose to rejoice. So again, you can fertilize it or kill it. And rejoice isn't just doing this, please, okay? It's not that. It's just, Lord, I bless you, I praise you, I give you thanks. One of my favorite blessings is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam. Blessed are you, Lord God, you are King of all creation. There's just a pause in that. Learn to say it if you want, in English or in Hebrew, or both. I just like hearing it in Hebrew. It does something in me because I'm connecting to Word, okay? But it reminds me He's the Creator. He's got things. To live in joy is to live with eyes wide open. That was the one that just kind of struck me. I never considered that. But all these things are fitting into it. It's about how we do that. To see the whole board as it resolves in Him, okay? It's going to look crazy. It's going to be contentious. It's going to be chaotic. But you know what? It's all, hearing Esther, right? You got to sit there and you sit back and go, oh my goodness. It was funny. I never watched. Ever you see the One Night with the King? How many of you seen that? I'd never seen it. We watched it night before last or something like that. I came away just a little bit frustrated because they took an incredibly amazing story and then thought they'd make it better. And it was like, oh my goodness, they just completely missed that and that and that. And it's just kind of like, okay. Anyway, but God working out in your life. And the best way to understand that in part is to go back and look what He's done. Okay? And you might be in the muck right now. Okay? Just okay, you stay connected to Him, and He will work out the muck. Joy is never about closing your eyes in delusion or denial, okay? There is a big difference between somebody who's truly joyful and somebody who's just optimistic, okay? You can be joyful in the midst of crying and processing stuff, okay? Because there can be a sense underneath, okay? You know, we got a couple of funerals tomorrow, right? One for Ronnie Hester's, okay? You know, and I am so grateful that he is now free from the burden that he had with his mind, okay? But there's other people even that may go sooner, but in Christ Jesus, there is in me a deep sense of joy. Lord, thank you so much. They're done with this struggle. There's joy even in the sorrow, but it's not about denial or delusion. This was interesting. Joy has night vision. The ability to see things you wouldn't otherwise be able to see when it's really dark. Hello? Yeah, you have to get, that's what was given to this Elisha's servant. I'm just saying because he couldn't see it and suddenly he could. That's what night vision is about, seeing something that is normally invisible or blinded to you. And then this, joy sees the true colors of everything. That was another phrase. Wow. You know why? Because in all of my hurry, when I sprint out things, but when I slow down a little bit, and the Lord will throw some brilliant red robin out on the front there, and it just catches me. You know, it's like the true colors. I'm so busy getting somewhere else most of the time, I just don't even take that in. Joy, in part, is about letting the true colors penetrate. Okay? You tracking? I know this is a lot. Core of joy, it is quiet confidence, he said. It's not exuberance. I mean, you know, get over that. No, that's okay. It slows us down to enjoy the gift of the moment. I never thought about joy slowing me down so that I would take a breath. Take a breath, everybody. Some of you even took that breath too fast. Okay, what now? So that we don't sprint by in search of the next thing. It's a ladder that allows us to see from a higher perspective. I'd never, okay. God throws these things in. It's like, well, okay, that makes sense to me. I never would have thought of that or put it in that. But right, when you see from a perspective of joy, you get a whole other perspective. Okay? You could walk into a situation that looks like a complete mess, but when you walk into it with joy, there's a different kind of, you're not dragged into the mud, right? You can deal with that stuff. You're kind of above that. It is a set of wings that makes us lighter and takes us places our feet cannot attain. Okay, I like that. I think it's true. I think when I'm in joy, it allows me to connect in a deeper way with so much, with people, with the world around me, what God's doing. Joy is the result of how we fully abide in Him so that His joy is in us, and therefore our joy is complete. It is a gift to be received, deployed, exercised, and multiplied. Wow. Okay, we could spend all night right there. Okay, receive His joy. Receive it. But then deploy it, folks. It deployed means you're making use of it. Do you understand that joy is useful? It's useful. It'll move you in ways, right? I loved when we sang that song, Joy, at the beginning. Because you know why? You were moving with it, okay? Some of you were dancing more right then than you have all week. And trust me, we need to dance, okay? It's exercised. It's something that I have to make use of. I have to choose. And because of that, it's multiplied. And then I love this face. I'm sorry, that was just too good a face to pass by. This is a guy with eyes wide open, okay? So joy is a gift that keeps on giving. Joy begets more joy. It multiplies. When you start choosing joy, guess what? More joy rises up in you. It's like having little rabbits, okay? And we cannot presume, folks, do not presume it looks a certain way. Don't think if you're looking at me and I look very somber or serious, there's not a whole lot of joy going in. Don't assume that. And don't see somebody that's just like this and assume there's joy there. Maybe. It's not enthusiasm, optimism, or always smiling. It is deeper, richer, and more satisfying than we have any clue about. And it is not contingent on your circumstances. The place where we've talked about this and where they have a unique opportunity to discover it is when we're in the prison. And most of our guys are serving long terms. But all of this is true. Okay? And it's true for us as it is for them. This was interesting. It is a state of rest in the totality of who He is, where we are going, and how it all comes together. Right? Joy is just sort of this deep, it's really close to peace at that point because it's just sort of a rest. It's like, you know what? I don't not have to sweat that. There was an old line we used to say about rule number 2 is don't sweat the small stuff. Rule number 1 is it's all small stuff. We must open our eyes to see everything. The earth is filled with His glory. Joy has the eyes to see it. You get it? We are just missing. He said, heaven and earth are full of His glory. How much of His glory are we paying attention to when we go out? I love sometimes when I'm driving over Planet Fitness in the dark and the sun starts to come up and sometimes the sky just and the ribbons and the clouds and it's just like, sometimes I just stop and stand out in the parking lot for a while and watch it. But it's so easy for me to then go in and get focused on something else and not pay attention to what else is there. Okay? Words of Jesus. I love each of you with the same love that the Father loves me. You must continually let my love nourish your hearts. If you keep my commands, you will live in my love, just as I've kept my Father's commands. for I continually live nourished and empowered by his love. My purpose for telling you these things is so that the joy that I experience will fill your hearts with overflowing gladness. See, this is key. One of the things I affirm of the fruits of the Spirit is that the joy of the Lord, okay? Overwhelming joy, incomparable joy. It is the joy of Jesus in me so that my joy is complete. That's the translation I'm used to. I've said all these things to you that my joy would be in you and that your joy would be complete. Put your hand here. Say, I have the joy of Jesus. Do you understand what you got? Use it, don't. So, in the end, I'm going to read that a little more slowly, but living with eyes wide open, let me just give you some points here. This is a short teaching. You might want to grab the replay. It requires prayer. Okay? Open my eyes, Lord, that I might see. Just keep going with that. It is progressive. I see men like trees walking. It's a mental decision and a discipline. Not a disciple, a discipline. Well, it is part of being a disciple. You choose it, and then you keep on choosing. Choose this day. Choose this moment. You do get it, right? Every moment is another choice. When I put on the shield of faith, Father, I put on the shield of faith, the ongoing decision, moment by moment, to believe you, to trust you, to walk with you, to fear and delight in you. Okay? But it's that moment by moment. It's a fruit that grows as you choose it, so you can develop it, okay? It can develop more and more. It's a decision to see all the truth, the whole board. This is what's critical also, though. It is to see all things in all of time, past, present, and future. If you're not understanding right now in the context of what is before you in eternity, please open your eyes. It allows us to see in the dark and see true colors. It's a quiet confidence that slows us down, a state of rest that is not contingent on circumstances. It is a result of abiding in Him. The better we abide, the more joy permeates all. I went by the first title slide. I don't know, did you notice what was in the background of that title slide? With the eyes open, what was there? Lightning, yeah, it was a massive storm. I almost had this one as the one I was going to use at the beginning. You see, I was trying to make a point. The servant went out and saw the city surrounded with men and chariots that were committed to kill him. Okay? Elisha was like, this is going to be fun. It's okay. Lord, open his eyes. Right? If you haven't read that story in 2 Kings, you got to go do it again. Because then he says, okay, Lord, just blind them. And they're like, And then he goes, this isn't the way. Let me show you the way, right? So he takes them right into the enemy camp, into the camp of Israel. The king of Israel says, okay, now open their eyes. And they open up and they're surrounded. Just amazing. Shall we kill them? No. You didn't take them with a sword. You're going to take care of them. We're going to feed them and send them back. Scare the snot out of the people who sent them. Exactly what happened. Let me get, again, where I think part of this whole thing has to go. Any of you know this guy, Francis Chan? Guy blows me away sometimes. He is just, he's just something. I think we've talked about this before, had clips in here from this thing he does about the rope. He has this really long stretch of rope, and he says, look, this is all of your life, not here, but forever and ever going on, and that rope would go out the door and forever. And then he's got one end that's about this long that's red, and he said, this is your life right now. And so many of us spend so much time being obsessed about what happens here and doing all this, and we're ignoring all the rest of this. Joy is the ability to deal with this because you know that. Open our eyes, Lord, that we might see. You okay? Let me show my people the core of joy, that it is a decision long before it is a feeling. Rejoicing in me is the action that leads to the emotion, the choice to be grateful, to engage truth that all good things are from me and that all will be resolved in me. It is a mindset that becomes a heart set. It is a perspective that becomes a permanent framework to see all things before you, a filter that does not ignore the hard things, but understands how they work for good. My people do not understand what I have given them, and they're not allowing it to bubble up as a powerful force that can and will sustain them in the crazy. Joy is a fruit that grows as you choose to rejoice. To live in joy is to live with your eyes wide open, to see the whole board as it resolves in me. Joy is never about closing your eyes in delusion or denial. It has night vision. Joy sees the true colors of everything. Joy is a quiet confidence that slows you down to enjoy the gift of the moment rather than sprinting by in search of something else. Joy is a ladder that allows you to see from a higher perspective. It is a set of wings that can make you lighter and take you places your feet cannot attain. Joy is the result of how you abide fully in me, so that my joy is in you, and your joy is therefore complete. It is a gift to be received, deployed, exercised, and multiplied. It is a gift that keeps on giving. Do not presume what it looks like. It is not enthusiasm. It is not optimism. It is not always smiling. It is deeper and richer and more satisfying than you would know. It is not contingent. It is a state of rest in the totality of who I am, where we are going, and how it will all come together. Open your eyes to see everything. The whole world is filled with my glory, and joy has eyes to see it. Copy? Father, I have a deep sense of how critical it is that we get this, Lord. Maybe not this particular teaching, but the fact that joy is our strength. It is a perspective. It's powerful. It's a force in us. It's Jesus' joy in us, Lord. So, Lord, I just pray you would imprint on each person here reality, truth. Open our eyes, Lord, to see what you see. Open your eyes here. I have one more thing I want to make sure I tell you. To me, bottom line, all this comes down to is just reality, folks. We have just simply, you want to know the secret to being humble? It's not trying to be humble. It's just leaning into truth. That everything you got is a gift. It doesn't matter how hard you work for something. The fact that you have a body that works, so you're in a country and in a time where you have freedom, was all a gift. Each one of us would be dead right now if you stopped thinking of us. We wouldn't even exist. We'd poof. The parts would not hold together. Joy is anchored simply in reality of who he is, who we are in him. It's not complicated. It's really not. We just have to be willing to be people of truth. That's why the whole thing of grace and truth, those two ends of a live wire. Just show me everything, God. Some of you are really struggling with stuff. You know, one of the things I mainly pray when you're really burdened with something, Lord, open their eyes. Just open their eyes to see the reality that what they're doing now is killing them. Attitudes they're doing is killing them. What they're holding on to, the unforgiveness or this or that or the other thing, it's killing them. Open their eyes to see. The more we do that, the more I live with an increasing reality of what's next in me. God has just grown it more and more. It's more and more real. I get where Paul says, to die is to gain and be with him. But it's more profitable for you that I stay, so I'll stay. It's okay. I just have real clarity about that. Because I get to experience him here and now, but that's a fraction of how clean and clear it'll be when I'm before him. So, Father, I pray now. You guys pray. Father, open my eyes that I may see. Again, open my eyes that I might see. Lord, I'm going to ask that you honor that. And I realize you can't show them everything because it might kill them. Like Jesus said, I have much more to show you, but you can't bear to hear it now. You can't bear to see it now. But Lord, open our eyes so we can see it. In the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.